in January of 2023, I retired from professional soccer, Division I at Northern Illinois University, and briefly pro after that. And when that chapter closed, I had no job, no real plan, and honestly, not much money. Over the next several months, I tried anything I could think of to make money online. Social media marketing agency, copywriting, drop shipping, e-commerce, gym influencer, clothing brand, supplement company, every single one of them failed. Then in July of 2023, I took my girlfriend to Europe for a month. I had already bought a ring. I proposed on that trip and she said yes. And I burned through basically the last of what I had doing it. We came home in August and she went back to working on construction sites as a civil engineer, summer heat every day. And I was at home driving DoorDash, studying for a life insurance license, going back to school online, doing literally anything I could think of just to keep moving forward. And right before committed to going back to school and just giving up on the whole thing, found a business model that I had never heard of. So I asked my fiance to bet basically everything that she had left, one last attempt. Said yes. That business went from 0 to over 10K a month in 2 months, over $20,000 in 4, and over $40,000 in 6. Year one was over $300,000 in revenue, and I eventually sold that company for $300,000. I've now built 4 of these businesses personally and have helped start over 100 with partners all over the US and Canada. This is my full story, and I have never told this story anywhere from start to finish. And I'm telling it to you today because I want you to understand where I was when I started and why I genuinely believe anyone watching this can do what I did, if not even more. Let's get into it. So a little context on who I am before we actually get into any of this business. I played soccer my whole life. I got to play Division I at Northern Illinois University, which was something that I had worked towards for a long time. And then partway through college, I actually got a brief run at the professional level. I was right in the middle of my junior year of college when I got a call from a coach of a professional team that said that they needed another goalkeeper. Within 48 hours of getting that call, I called my coach, told him that I was dropping out of school, called my guidance counselor and dropped all of my classes, packed my stuff into a 2004 Nissan Maxima, and I drove out of state to go on trial for a pro team. This was a goal that I had my entire life been chasing, and I was not going to let an opportunity to pursue it pass me up. Now, when I arrived there, it was not all sunshine and rainbows. In fact, I got extended 4 times on a trial there until I was there for almost 7 weeks, sleeping in different hotels, just bopping around, waiting for them to offer me a contract. And right before preseason was set to end, the coach actually brought me into the locker room and told me, "Parker, we love you. We think you're a great guy. We think you're a great player, but you're not the right fit for us. We're going to go ahead and we're going to release you. Good luck finding a team somewhere else." And I looked the coach dead in the face and I said, "Coach, I have nowhere else to go. Dropped out of school. I left everything to be here, so I'll see you tomorrow." And I showed up again the next morning, and I decided that I was going to be there every single day until they signed my replacement. Now, 2 weeks passed by of me showing up uninvited. Eventually, the coach decided that whatever I had was something he wanted on the team, and they ended up offering me a contract. I was signed as a 3rd choice goalkeeper of a pro team, and if you know anything about soccer, you know that that means you're not very important to the team. Well, I very quickly became a 2nd choice goalkeeper, started traveling to every match and attending every single match. And then after a run of bad form, I actually became a starting goalkeeper at the professional level, was able to make my debut, even won a man of the match award, and we won the game that I played in. Now, for one reason or another, my playing career was then cut short to just 1 game, where I was soon replaced by another player from a better league who was sent to our team on loan. And then at the end of that season, a nagging knee injury came and just basically put me completely out of commission for the entire offseason. The coaching staff told me that I had a spot on that team and I should just focus on getting healthy and getting ready for next year's season. They were going to renew my contract. When January came around and I reached back out to get that contract renewed, told them that I wasn't quite healthy again. They told me that they were no longer interested in signing me. I really had no other way to get in front of another team. Decided at that point that my girlfriend was just about to finish school and that I wanted to focus on the next chapter of my life, get to move in with her. And I decided to retire and walk away from playing soccer after just 1 season at the professional level. And when that door closed in January of 2023, I had this identity that was basically tied to being an athlete, as I had been my entire life, and it was gone overnight. Now, what I did not have was a backup plan. I didn't have savings. I didn't have a career path. I had a blank page and a whole lot of pressure to figure out what was going to come next. And admittedly, what came next for about 6 months was a whole lot of failure. Now, from the moment that I retired, I started trying things. I wasn't sitting around feeling sorry for myself. I was moving. The problem was I was always moving in the wrong direction. Social media marketing agency, copywriting, growth operating, e-commerce, content creator, you name it, I tried it. Or I at least came very close to trying it. And every single one of them failed. What I didn't understand at the time that I understand now is that in all of these business models, I was trying to compete with other young, savvy, hungry people who were trying to make it in the online business. And they were just as good as I was or better at it. It was oftentimes just a battle of virality and luck, and I had neither of them. I wasn't going to out TikTok a 19-year-old who had been making TikToks for 3 years already. That was not a game that I could win. But the deeper problem was the shiny object syndrome. And I'll be honest about this because I think it's a very important detail. I kept jumping from new thing to new thing, and the reason was because every time something wasn't working after a few weeks, I thought that the issue had to be the vehicle, not me. So I would pivot and pivot and pivot again. And I was waiting for this moment when it would just click and it would all just make perfect sense. That moment never. I just had to keep going long enough to find something that worked for me. And to make matters even just a little bit worse, when I first signed my very first client for my marketing agency that I had built, it was actually built to serve home service businesses. My first client ever was on a $3,000 a month retainer, and pretty much immediately after starting services with me, just about 10 days in after we had given them a bunch of deliverables, this company charged back the service on the credit card that they had put it on, blocked my phone number, and essentially just forced a refund. I had no way to fight the chargeback. I had not just lost the time, but actually lost money processing the payment. So when I finally thought I had broke through and I had my first win, it ended up being a $100 loss and 10 days of my time. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Now we fast forward to the summer, and in July of 2023, when a break was much needed, I took my girlfriend to Europe for an entire month. She had just graduated college. I had planned this trip a long time ago, and I had already bought a ring. It was time for me to propose. And I want to be straight with you about this because this detail matters for everything that's coming after. I spent the last of everything that I had on that trip, and I knew exactly what I was doing. I knew what I was going to be walking back into when I came home, but I also knew how much I loved my girlfriend and that she deserved it. And I wanted this moment to be special. I wanted to give her that experience, and I wanted it to be right. She said yes, we got engaged, and it was genuinely one of the best months of my entire life. The trip of a lifetime. And then we came home in August, and I remember walking in the door of our apartment and everything just setting in on. I remember thinking the rubber has finally hit the road. We're home. She has a job. I don't. I'm engaged now, and I haven't made any progress into figuring this whole thing out. So I started driving DoorDash, and not as a side hustle to feed my main venture. DoorDash was my main venture. I was studying for my life insurance license, and I was going back to school online at Western Governors University. I was literally just doing anything I could think of to keep my options open and keep moving forward. And the whole time, Emily was waking up early, putting on her work boots, and going to stand on construction sites as a civil engineer in the summer every single day. Meanwhile, I was at home trying to make a video work, figure out a new angle, or just do something to keep from feeling completely useless. Now, I do not say that to paint myself as some underdog in an inspiring story. I say it because it's the truth of what was actually happening in that moment. And if you've ever been in that position of trying to figure something out while someone that you love is outworking you and doing more than you, then you know exactly what that feeling is like. It's a very specific kind of pressure. Now, right before I committed to going back to online school full-time, two things happened close to each other. I was on the verge of just calling it quits on this whole entrepreneurship thing when Emily's mom came for a visit. At the end of that visit, she actually pulled Emily aside and basically said, "You're outside in the summer heat working all day on a construction site with a real trajectory, a real career path. Don't you want Parker to just give this up and go get a degree, get a job, and at least have something going for him? It kind of seems like he's just being lazy and dragging this thing out." And when I found out about that conversation, I'll be honest, it hit me hard. Not because I was angry at her mom. In fact, from the outside, I understood exactly where she was coming from. That's what it looked like. But because I knew that I was not being lazy, I knew that I had it in me, it was even more frustrating. The hardest thing in the world is knowing that about yourself and just not being able to prove it to anyone yet. See, I wasn't worried about proving anyone else wrong. I just wanted to prove myself right. I wanted to prove that betting on myself was the right call and that in enough time, it would all work out. To prove that if I just kept going, I was going to get there. Now, the second thing that happened was I saw someone online talking about starting a remote cleaning company, a business that used subcontractors to handle the cleaning, but acted as the company that basically commissioned them out to do the work and kept money as the middleman. No employees, not doing the physical labor, run it from your laptop. Well, that person is now my business partner. You see, when I watched that video, something just clicked. This wasn't a social media game. It wasn't a virality contest. This was a real business in a real industry with real demand, and it didn't require me to out content anyone. It was a service business, and service businesses had been running for hundreds of years. I just needed to figure out how to run one now. I went to Emily and I told her that I had found it. I had found my chance. And then I asked her to put basically everything that she had left into it. The program was $3,000 and she paid for all of it. With the startup costs on top of that, it was the only way. She was the only one with a job, the only one with money. And I was sitting across the table asking her to bet it all on a guy who had failed at every business that he had tried for the last 6 months. She said yes. I want you to sit with that for a second, because to me, that means more than any revenue number in this entire video. She did not have to do that. In fact, she had every reason not to do it, but she did it anyway. And I will never take that lightly, and I have never taken it for granted. We launched the business officially in November of 2023. We built everything ourselves. The website was bootstrapped. The systems were all built from scratch. We made everything as cheaply as possible because, well, it was our only real option. And in the beginning, we were doing some of the cleans ourselves. Not because I had to be in the business model, not because I had to be in the field forever, but because we needed cash coming in while we got the actual book of business running. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do. Once we had real operations going, the growth was fast. Month 2, we crossed 10K. Month 4, we crossed 20. And month 6, we crossed 40. And we held there for a while we built systems out properly. I built this business with my bare hands, my own sweat, blood, and tears. I used to go behind our service providers and change over laundry at the Airbnb units, making beds so that they could move on to clean the next job. We used to clean a barber shop in the middle of the night weekly just to make sure that the customer didn't have to close their doors during the day and turn clients away. I picked up and drove service providers to jobs when their cars broke down. I bought cleaning supplies and Christmas gifts for my service providers and their families and kids. I met customers in person. I went to job fairs and any local event that I could find, and I did anything that I could to keep adding more happy customers to our books. What I can tell you is that the philosophy was simple. I kept my service providers busy even when the margin was thin, because a busy subcontractor is a loyal one. I kept my clients in the loop even when there was nothing wrong, because a client who hears from you regularly becomes a client who refers you. And I never let a problem sit longer than it had to. Not because I had some brilliant system, but because I couldn't afford to lose anyone. Year 1, we did over $300,000 in revenue. For a business started with my fiance's last few $1,000s and built while I was driving DoorDash, that number still hits different when I think about it today. Now, towards the end of 2024, I started thinking about what else this model could do. Because here's the thing. Everything that I had learned while running the cleaning business was interchangeable with other home service verticals. The SOPs, the subcontractors, the client acquisition, running the operations of the business itself, it was all plug and play. None of it was specific to cleaning. It was specific to a home service business. The vehicle itself was interchangeable. So I asked myself, what if I applied this to holiday lighting? Bigger ticket, less competitors, seasonal business, same core structure. And I was one of the first people to ever try it this way. I launched the holiday lighting company halfway through the 2024 season. Not a full season, half a season. We did over $100,000 in 7 weeks. That was my moment because I had already done the cleaning thing, but many people had started remote cleaning businesses before me. I did not invent that. But this, applying that same model to higher ticket, bigger services, was something that nobody else was running this way. And having it work this well, even faster, was something I was genuinely proud of. And in a different way than my cleaning business. The next season, at the end of 2025, we did over $200,000 in 10 weeks. I also built a second cleaning company during this period. That company hit over $20,000 a month by month 3. I sold it shortly after starting it, and then at the end of 2025 going into early 2026, I sold that first cleaning business that I had started for $300,000. The buyer was a cash flow investor who came in through my network. He actually had followed me on social media. He knew someone who knew me, asked if I was legit, and then we ended up having a deal-based conversation. 2 years earlier, I had nothing. That exit put over $500,000 in my bank account from a business that I built on $3,000 and a whole lot of stubbornness. In the middle of 2025, we launched the Home Service Partner Program. The reason that we built it the way that we did, where we take a 5% stake and stay in it with you as a real partner for the long term, rather than just selling you a course and wishing you luck, came from watching firsthand what happened when people did not have that level of support. I had done the course model. I had sold info, given people the game, and then said, good luck figuring it out. And some people crushed it, but admittedly, some people struggled. And not because the information was wrong, but because information alone is not the same as having someone invested in your business working with you on it week in and week out. So we flipped the whole model. We take a small ownership stake. We place a trained operator in your business from day one. We cover that operator's salary for the first 3 months. We use our own proprietary market analysis to tell you exactly what business to start and where to start it. And we stay with you in building the business, not until you get your first client or you hit 90 days, but for the long run. Because of everything that came together in 2025 and 2026, I was able to do the thing that I had been working towards since I was delivering DoorDash. Emily retired from civil engineering. She no longer goes to a construction site every day. And this to me meant more than any number in the bank account. If you're someone that aims to provide for your loved ones or take care of the people that you care about, you know that there's no greater feeling than the sense of confidence, comfort, and achievement that comes with being able to take the financial stresses away from your loved ones. You see, it wasn't the vehicle that made me into the person that wanted this, but it was the vehicle that actually allowed me the opportunity to realize and give this gift to the woman that I love most. We have now helped start over 110 partner businesses all over the US and Canada. And including our old consulting clients, we have helped over 100 businesses cross over the $10,000 a month threshold and over 50 businesses cross over the $20,000 a month threshold. But instead of rattling off a list of numbers, I want to tell you about Ben, because his story is the one that I think of when I want to describe what this model is actually capable of. Ben came to us already running his own exterior cleaning company, doing 8 to 11, 12K a month, and doing most of the work himself. Good operator, but just cap. We came in and added interior cleaning as a second service line and then holiday lighting as a third. Same client base, same relationships he had already built, just more ways to serve them and more revenue per customer. We tripled his lead volume by expanding what he could offer. And then we pushed. His lighting season hit over $100,000 a month. His spring exterior cleaning season was running $80,000 to $90,000 a month. And he's now a true business owner, running 3 service lines with sub teams in the field while he manages the company. He never touches the work himself, and we built that with him in 18 months. Jaden went from $0 to $50,000 a month in under a year as a 20-year-old. Eric exited a business for over $100,000 in profit in less than 10 months. Those 2 results alone would have been unbelievable if I hadn't watched them happen with my own 2 eyes. And even I just started my own 4th personal business, a water filtration services company here in North Carolina. My first new business in almost 2 years. I'm documenting the whole process because I think watching it in real time, including the hard and unenjoyable parts, is an important part of the process. I'm documenting the entire process in real time and including the parts that are hard and uncomfortable, because I think that is way more valuable than any highlight reel. So there you have it. That's the story. January of 2023, retired from soccer, blank page, no plan. 6 months of failing at everything. Europe trip, proposal, came home broke, DoorDash, life insurance license, back to school online. Emily betting her last few $1,000s on one more try on a guy who could not stop failing. And then slowly it all working out. I am not telling you this to make you think that my story is special or unique. I am telling you this because the starting line was genuinely low. And the only things that were actually there when the business started were a model that worked, a person that believed in me when she did not have to, and a decision to not quit. If you're watching this and you're trying to figure out your next move, a first business, a second income stream, something that actually makes sense in 2026 and does not depend on going viral or getting lucky, stick around. Every video on this channel is about what actually works in home services. Real numbers, real businesses, no fluff. And if you want to learn more about how we actually build these businesses alongside of partners, the link is in the description. We guarantee you your first client within 90 days, or we'll run your business until it happens. Spoiler alert, that guarantee has never once triggered. Now in the next video, I'm going to break down the full model in detail, exactly how the remote home service model works, how the money actually flows, and why this beats just about every other business that someone in your position is looking at right now. I will see you